What's going on, y'all? Welcome to the land of reckless logic. Please make sure you guys pop that like button, hit the subscribe button, and please smack the notification bell so do not miss any of my posts from me. Let's get straight into this video. Alrighty, y'all. So what's going on? Alrighty, so as you guys already get tell by the title of this video, I will be talking about Quando Rondo and the situation that's surrounding him. So apparently what ended up happening is that Quando Rondo is a rapper, and with him being a rapper, he ended up having an issue with he was apparently allegedly a target at he was involved in a shooting, and apparently he was supposed to be the target. But however, in the midst of that, one of his homies, one of his friends ended up losing their life. So that's what we're going to talk about. I do believe this is a very interesting conversation, and then we're actually going to press the gas on this particular conversation, and then we're actually going to do what it needs to be done. All right, so before I do all of that, let me run my fair use just in case I decide and I want to change my mind. And actually, I want to, play a video too. So let me do my fair use.
I'm in danger! I'm in danger! I'm in danger!
Disclaimer. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, always constructive. Comment down below. News reporting, I guess that's what we doing. Teaching, hopefully y'all learn something. Scholarship, we ain't got no money. Education and research, so you can get a nasty piece of degree. Okay? Fair use is the use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. What's going on, beautiful? How you doing? What's going on? All right, so just so you guys know, I had to lubricate my throat because, baby, my throat was dry. I don't know what it is. Every single time I get on this live, baby, my throat's like getting dry. But however, what I will say is this. I'm gonna pull up an article and we're gonna dissect this bad boy. So let me just share my screen real quick, baby. But in the meantime, what's going on, everybody? This is going to be a very interesting conversation. We're really going to press the gas on this bad boy. So let me, bam, right here. Hallelujah. Okay, so here we go. Here we have it. So this particular article is by Hip Hop DX. So far, I personally like this particular site when it comes down to what's going on within the culture. And also, there seems to be a lot of accuracy when it comes down to this particular site so far that I have seen. Okay, but however, with this particular article, the name of the article is Quando Rondo was intended target in fatal Los Angeles shooting, police say. So let's begin to get into the tea, girl. All right, so Quando Rondo was reportedly the intended target in the fatal shooting that took place in Los Angeles on Friday, August 19th, around 5:30 p.m. local time. According to Fox 11 News, investigators have determined the three suspects missed Quando Rondo and instead murdered a 23-year-old riding in his black Cadillac Escalade. Now, by the way, I don't know if they're actually going to release the name, but from what I've seen so far, I believe his friend's name was Little Pub or Little Pab, something like that. But hopefully it does actually disclose his name. But if not, I completely understand. Okay, now I'm going to continue. It says, a wild scene here as investigators say that the apparent target of this deadly gunfire, a rapper from the Atlanta area, they say a pretty well-known rapper too, in this area, along with a second person in this black Cadillac Escalade, may have been a relative, may have been a member of his entourage. We don't know. Reporter Ed Lascos explained from Beverly Grove, but it's the second person, not the rapper. It's the second person who was hit by gunfire, dies by the gunfire. Girl, this is just a bit much. I'm going to hold off on actually playing the video because, girl, the way YouTube be playing, girl. Okay, it says, news of the shooting spread like wildfire on social media over the weekend, with initial reports claiming Quando Rondo had been hit in an ambush. A woman identified as his aunt took to Twitter that night to assure everyone the rapper was fine. And I do remember actually seeing that particular post. They did not actually put it on this particular site, but I do remember that particular post being passed around and people were sharing it and actually, spreading the news. But just about to give updates. I'm going to continue. It says, but the gunshot victim wasn't so lucky. Paramedics were seen treating the man believed to be Quando Rondo's friend, Little Pab. Okay, so I was close. Okay, so Little Pab. After the Escalade stopped at the intersection of Santa Monica and San Vincent Boulevards in West Hollywood, video of Quando's screaming as they pulled the body out of the car quickly went viral on social media. The pain in his voice undeniable. He was later pronounced dead at a local hospital. Okay, so I'm not gonna lie, I actually seen that particular video. It was very awful to watch. It was very hard to watch. For me personally, I don't like seeing anyone in that light. I don't like seeing anyone lose a loved one. I don't like seeing someone actually experience that particular type of pain. And I do understand that a lot of people were rejoicing, but however, we're going to get into that after this. Okay. So let me continue. So it says Quando Rondo's team issued a statement shortly after conflicting reports made the rounds. It read, Quando was involved in a shooting yesterday evening, aka Friday, which resulted in the untimely death of another young man's life. He himself did not sustain any injuries during the shooting and is safe. Now it says Quando and his entourage were also involved in a deadly Atlanta shooting that claimed the life of Chicago rapper King Von in November 2020. Atlanta police ultimately arrested 22-year-old Timothy Leaks, also known as Lil Tim, for the fatal shooting. So that's okay. So the article referenced what I'm about to talk about. Okay, so here's the thing. Let me actually take this down now, because now we're gonna do this. What's going on? Hey, how you doing, What's going on, Humbled? Come on, Humble Pie. Yes, ma'am. What's going on, Lady D? Well, hey, how you doing, Tracy? Oh, girl, my mouth is dry. Let me just get some water real quick. Ooh, let me lubricate this throat. Ooh, Lord. Oh, Lord. Okay, I'm back, y'all. All right, so yes. So let me actually put this down. Baby. So yes, this is just what's actually going on. So what's actually going on is the fact and the point of Quando Rondo. He is a rapper from Atlanta, and I feel like most people would know because of the circumstances. He was involved in a beef riff. He had some friction with another rapper by the name of King Von, who's also a Chicago rapper. My fault. So, actually, hold on. Let me put that back up. Did I just say? Hold up. Did I just say Atlanta rapper? Oh, okay. It says Chicago rapper. I'm about to say. I'm like King Von from. Okay, I'm tripping. Okay, so yes. So they end up having some issues or whatever, and in the midst of their issues, beef, them having friction, a situation happened outside of, I want to say outside of a club. Do not quote me exactly on the location, but however, they ended up having an altercation and it ended up someone ended up fatally dying and basically ended up taking King Von's life. Now, ever since then, of course, before then, there was like a Biggie and Tupac thing going on to where, of course, since they both are rappers and they both are artists who also hold influence, people were picking sides. So his fans, Quando Rondo's fans was picking his side and King Von's fans were picking his side. But in the midst of that, after that particular point, it was kind of like there was people really drew the line when it came down to Quando Rondo and the whole King Von situation, because now people were, of course, upset that King Von's life was taken away from him under certain circumstances. And so, since the beef was surrounding King Von and also Quando Rondo, um, the people who were King Von supporters and were very upset because of the circumstance now actually had a huge giant issue with Quando Rondo. At least in my personal opinion. Let me put it that way. Okay. But however, I do want to talk about this. Talk about how, okay, so when I was reading this particular article, the thing that really stuck out to me is that how we literally get stories like this all the time. There's nothing new up under the sun. And what I mean by that is that we literally get stories about how melanated men in particular, melanated people literally end up taking each other's life, end up hurting each other, end up in real sticky situations because of the circumstances of, I guess, upholding an image, being at the wrong place at the wrong time, holding philosophies, having certain mindsets, certain views, going in a certain direction. Like, it's a lot of different factors that really plays a part when it comes down to us seeing things over and over and the cycle repeating itself. Now, the reason why I'm saying this is because we've seen the same thing that happened with Biggie and Tupac. Now, of course, some people are going to say it's a false equivalency, but just keep in mind, like I always say, grasp the message, leave out the specifics. But however, when it comes down to people having issues, when it comes down to people having problems, and especially if it's especially in particular melanated men, it's always resulting in fate. It's always fatal in so many words. Y'all forgive me because I got ads and stuff popping up over here. But yes, it's always ending up becoming fatal. And so I think a really good conversation would be talking about how can Black men in particular learn about emotional intelligence. I do believe that in this particular society, we really do police Black men's emotions. We really do police Black men's their ability to really showcase and really be on that spectrum of emotions. Now keep in mind, I don't want all this. I kind of just want the masculine, only because we really condition melanated men to this toxic idea of what a man is, and this toxic idea of what it is to be in America. And as we all see, if queer people are not surviving it, Black women aren't surviving it, then guess what? Black men aren't surviving it as well. And so I do believe that we do need to have a bigger conversation that really needs to get had more frequently, because we are having a conversation. But however, I don't believe it's enough, or it's hitting all of the right people. But however, that's why we're here. So the thing is that we literally tell melanated men to showcase their emotions. We want them to open up. But however, at certain points in times, when they do open up and when they do showcase their emotions, we tend to have a tendency to police those emotions, and it can make them really shut down. I do want to share this, of course. Actually, I'm gonna do this because girl, I don't feel like putting all that extra shit up. There we go. Okay, so I do want to share this. So here's the thing. The thing that comes into effect is that this toxic masculine roles or toxic masculine philosophy has to go. Reason being is because everybody, men, women, boy, girl, etc., we all possess both energies, masculine, feminine energies. Now, keep in mind, I think a lot of times when we do express the ideas of men, heterosexual men in particular, melanated men, being feminine or expressing femininity, they believe that we're talking about coming up with heels, nails, or it's all that superficial exterior way of being able to express femininity. That's not what I'm referring to in particular. What I'm referring to is that each of these energies, masculine, and divine feminine, they all hold traits, character traits that we all must embody to be able to have a healthy, balance, and sane mindset and operation to be able to tackle different obstacles that we're going to face in life. Now, the reason being is because the way that I personally view masculine and feminine energies, as in when it comes down to the qualities, when it comes down to the feminine qualities and energy, is for me personally, I believe it's like being in touch with your inner, being in touch with your emotions, being in touch with the unknown, which is within you, being in touch with your soul, being in touch with your emotions, being in touch with your in a sense your intuition, your pineal gland, being in touch with those things that you can't physically touch with your hands. But however, with the masculine energy, the way that I view it as being in touch with your physical, being in touch with your body, being able to take action. Because when it comes down to situations to where, you may need to self-actualize, and when it's time for you to self-actualize, you're going to have to take that time to dig within and actually have some self-thought and actually think about and analyze, how am I feeling? Okay, I'm processing what I'm feeling. I identify what emotions that I feel. Now I need to process and know how can I be able to handle it before I actually take action. Now, with masculine energy, what the beautiful thing about masculine energy, not toxic, but masculine energy, is that it allows you to detach from those emotions and being able to take action, and also it helps you make more of the difficult decisions. Put it that way. So let me do this, because baby, I got I know y'all can't see this, but I got all these different types of ads coming up. Girl. Okay, so yes. So I'm gonna talk about the natural feminine. Natural feminine, of course, is unconditional love. We have understanding. Hold on, y'all. Let me do this real quick. Yes. Let me do this real quick, baby. Okay, so yes, we have unconditional love. We have understanding, nurturing, tenderness, kindness, intuition, creative, feeling, stillness, flow, radiance, surrender, sensitivity, emotional ease, allowing. And then we also have the natural masculine: confidence, protection, inner strength, clarity, responsibility, boundaries, focus, courage, logical support, discipline, capable, stability, direction, certain, and assertive. And the reason why this is very interesting is because a lot of times too, when people have these ideas of these roles, and when they really try to neglect these roles, their ideas about these roles are the wounded feminine and the wounded masculine. And this is where we have the issues that come into effect, is because not only would people operate under one particular energy, as in they think they only need to be feminine, or they think they only need to be masculine, but however, what ends up happening, they operate in the wounded feminine or just the wounded masculine, which adds trauma on top of trauma on top of trauma. And keep in mind, you also have a system that's also creating and keeps manufacturing and manifesting the effects that we see to this day. Because everything, now keep in mind, everything I'm talking about has a melanated context. So this particular system literally manifests everything that we see in melanated communities as of today in the Western Hemisphere and the global hemisphere. Okay, global hemispheres. Okay, so yes, that's one thing. Let me do this, girl. Let me do this, baby. Let me do this real quick, baby. Baby. So yes, I will be talking about some things. Let me see. Can I find this, y'all? What's going on, y'all? Girl. Baby. Boom. You already know I'm coming. We're gonna talk about this, the psychology and the sociology, all the different types of things. Okay, so the sociology book, Big Ideas Simply Explained. So if this is your first time coming through here, if you're catching the replay, this is the book that I use to be able to discuss and talk about the sociological aspect of the issues that we see today. I do have a psychology book too, but however, I'm not with my book right now. So that's why we're going to focus on this aspect, because everything, like I said, everything that we see up under the sun is not new. And the reason why it keeps happening over and over and over, because we're not addressing the root cause. We're just keep talking about the after effects. Okay, so sociology, a social science that focuses on society, human social behavior, patterns of social relationships, social interaction, and aspects of culture associated with everyday life. Girl. Okay, let me make this big, girl. Let me make this big. Now, y'all, I don't know why every single time when it comes down to me reading by myself, I can do this, but whenever I get on this camera, my mouth start getting dry, all these different types of things. So let me just do this bad boy. So let me go to the next screen. All right, so we have the development of self. Now, the reason why I want to talk about a few things. Now, I will be talking about the development of self. I will be talking about, I want to, let me see. Let me find the page, baby, so I can read this bad boy. So, yes, I will be talking about the development of self, because we're going to be talking about how this particular system, especially when we don't allow melanated people to be able to self-actualize, and a lot of times too, we are operating in survival mode instead of having us operate in a higher vibration. You get what I'm saying? But however, I'll talk about that more that we go through it. So let me actually get started, because girl, I got my another live I got to get to. Girl. So yes, we were talking about the development of self. Now it says, people's self-understanding is constructed in part by their perception of how others view them, a process termed the looking glass self. Cooley, 1902. Okay, so that's the definition that I have. Girl, all these ads keep coming up. Girl. All right, so another thing I will be talking about that's also with this is called the me and you. The me and I. The I and me. One of them, girl. We'll get into it. It says the me represents learned societal behaviors and expectations, and the I represents the individual's identity based on the response to those social behaviors and expectations. So I'm gonna read that one more time, because baby. Okay, so the me represents learned societal behaviors and expectations, and the I represents the individual's identity based on the response to those social behaviors and expectations. Okay, oh girl, we finna get into it. Oh, I was right the first time. The I and me. Well, that's probably the second time. Girl, you already know. All right, so yes, let's actually get into it, because now we're gonna talk about how do we grow up, what's going on, the trauma, and being able to address that trauma. Now keep in mind, I'm not no therapist, but however, in order for you to be able to for us, because girl, I ain't perfect, in order for us to be able to have certain conversations and really get down to the root. Okay, so of course, what I'm actually gonna do over here, I'm actually gonna start on the left side with that gray bad boy. Let me do this. Can I do this? I'm gonna do this for 2.5 seconds. Bam. Okay, so I'm gonna start with the gray first, baby. All right, so we're gonna have in context the development of self. Now at the top here it says the I and the me. Now that's by G.H. Mead. Now it says the development of self. Now key dates, we have 1902. U.S. sociologist Charles Cooley. Now keep in mind, y'all. Now, when I would be looking up this type of stuff, baby, the way they be pronunciating these people's names and stuff, these people's names be German and girl. So blame it on my tongue, not my heart, baby. Yeah. So Charles Cooley says our views of self reflect the standpoint of significant others in our life. Baby, these ads keep coming up. Now, 1921, the language of gestures. German philosopher Wilhelm Wundt says that the mind is inherently social. 1975, U.S. anthropologist, girl, blame it on my tongue, Clifford Geist claims that the self is a distinctive whole and set contrastively against other such wholes. 1980s, British-born U.S. social psychologist Hazel Rose Marcus suggests we each form a sigma based on past social experiences that operates as the self system. And this is where we talk about, well, at least what I think, but of course we're gonna get deep into it, and when we start to actually have the text. I believe this talks about how we actually use our past social experiences to be able to operate in life. As in, you go up through a breakup and being like, I don't want to go through that no more. So I'm not gonna date these particular type of men or women. Now, 1999, U.S. psychologist Daniel Siegel suggests that the development of the social self happens in concrete with developing brain function. Okay, come on, brain. All right, so we have the graph here. It says to have a sense of ourselves, baby. Let me do this. I'm gonna go to the bottom here. Bam, period, bitch. Okay, it says to have sense of ourselves, the I can reflect on. Now, keep in mind, y'all, the I. What is the I? Let's keep in context, y'all. The I. The I represents the individual's identity based on the response of those societal behaviors and expectations. So, yes, to have sense of ourselves, the I can reflect on, now we got the middle bubble, the me, that represents the behaviors and attitudes formed by interactions with others. Now, around that bubble, you see your mother, your father, grandfather, friends, siblings, grandmother. Baby, we about to get to some things. And also this, of course, is the conversation that we normally have when it comes down to your family members or certain things happening in your life to where it shapes your worldview and your perception. And that's what we're also going to talk about perception as well, because keep in mind too, perception is just an illusion. The way that you view things may not always be quote unquote the truth, or may not always be quote unquote the exact way of life. It's just the way that you view things because of certain experiences or because of philosophy in your mindset. Now, over here in the corner where I'm hidden, so I'm going to change this paper like this. Over here in the bottom left corner, it says mind. Yeah, mind can never find expression and could never have come into existence at all, except in terms of a social environment. Okay, let's get into it. Let me put my beautiful face up here. And that's on period. Okay. Now it says George Herbert Mead was a social psychologist and a philosopher, and he looked to both disciplines. Hold up, y'all. Hold up. Oh shit! Let me do this real quick. Hold up, y'all. I just got a text, girl. But in the meantime, y'all, hold up. Oh Lord. Yeah. Okay, there we go. Oh, yeah, and trying to work out what exactly we mean when we talk about the self. Traditional philosophers and sociologists saw societies as growing from the coming together of individual anomalous selves. But Mead said the opposite was true. Selves emerge from the social interactions they are formed within society. Girl, come on, bitches. All right, so and that's another thing too. When I be reading these books, girl, I be trying to like actually say the word like the way it's supposed to be said, because I be hearing other people talk. But girl, I found out I have like a little twang, a little something going on with my voice, like the way I word things, girl. It be too much, girl. All right, so next one says the concept is prevalent now in psychology and psychotherapy. But when Mead first presented his ideas in 1913 in The Social Self, it was a revolutionary point of view. Mead disagreed with the idea that individual experiencing selves exist in any recognizable way before they are a part of the social process. The social process of experience or behavior is, aka, logically prior to the individuals and their individual experiencing which are involved in it. By this, Mead is suggesting that an individual's consciousness, with all its intentions, desires, and so on, is formed with the context of social relationships, one or more particular languages, and a set of cultural norms. Okay, it says here, from birth, babies begin to sense communication through gestures, which function as symbols and build a universe of discord. Now, here's the thing. And I know a lot of times this is what it's going to come down when it comes down to people having children, having different households. This is what we mean when we talk about subtle cues, and this is what we mean when we talk about. Actually, I want to show my face because, girl, I want to be serious when I say this. This is what we mean when we talk about subtle cues, and this is what we mean when we talk about people actually. When people, especially when parents in particular talk about, I don't teach that in my household. I never told my child that. But however, keep in mind, it's other ways and forms of being able to communicate. You don't always have to explicitly say something. You don't always have to always say it out your mouth. Your actions will show that as well. Like, let's be very clear. If I was to put up my middle finger right now, everybody knows what the hell I'm saying. So body language and gestures also set off certain cues, especially when those certain cues are activated, like MK Ultra. Okay. Baby. Okay, here we go. Okay, it says here, from birth, babies begin a sense of So from birth, babies begin a sense of. I want to make sure I ain't lose my thing. Oh yeah, from birth, babies begin a sense of communication through gestures, which function as symbols and build a universe of discourse. Over time, they learn to mimic and import the practices, gestures, and eventually words of those around them, so that they can make their own response and receive further gestures and words from others. Bye-bye. Now it says who we are. The pattern of attitudes that the baby experiences and internalizes, aka learns, creates the sense of me. What is me, y'all? Of course. Let me do this. What is me, y'all? Oh, let me go back, girl. So me, the me represents learned societal behaviors and expectations. Girl. Okay, me represents the behaviors, expectations. Oh, come on, right there. Creates the sense of me. In this way, the me represents the behaviors, expectations, and attitudes learned through interactions with others. But me says that we also have another sense of ourselves, which is called the I. Both the I and the me are different functions of the self. The I, like the me, keeps evolving, but its function is to reflect on the me, which also, seeing the bigger picture, the me acts in habitual ways. While the I can reflect on these and make self-conscious choices, it allows us to be different, both from other people and our former selves, through reflection on our actions. Come on, self-actualization. I know that's right. Hold up, y'all. These ads keep coming up, so I can't see the screen, girl. Okay, here we go. So it's Mead's theory of the development of self was pivotal in turning psychology and sociology away from the idea of self as being merely internal introspection and aligning it firmly within societal context. Okay, so when it comes down to me and I, of course, just to break it down to the most simplest form, when it comes down to me is just about talking about the things that you experience, your expectations that people may have of you. And when it comes down to attitudes or the way that you may view things or the way you have been taught to view things, those are the things that the me represents. When it comes down to the I meaning I am myself. No one else is going to talk. No one else is going to have these. No one else is going to live inside of my body, be inside of my own body. So with I is me, even though I went through this, even though I experienced this, even though I have these particular, I'm going to say experiences, roadblocks, whatever. I'm also going to make a decision to either learn from it, self-actualize, and move on from there. And I'm going to operate different. So this is where this is where we talk about where you may see children living in a particular household, but however, even though they may have grown up in a toxic household, but however, the I, which is within them, the I within them shows up and may actually go to college, may actually do something positive in their life, may actually take a turn compared to which is, keep in mind, the me which is the expectations, the stuff they have been fed, and the way they have been taught to view certain things. Get it? Don't get it? Hopefully I explained it. Girl, let me do this, because girl. And the reason why so I think I'm gonna do it like this, do a section by section. Okay, so this is the reason why I wanted to talk about this particular, and the reason why I think it was very interesting. Because of when I was reading, like, looking back at King Von's and Quando Rondo's past, as in what was going on with them. Let me put this down for 2.5 seconds. Okay, so when I was actually going back and looking at their past, I started to notice a running theme. Now, keep in mind, I did like a very vague look. I really didn't look too deep. But when I was actually going back in their past and looking at their upbringing and stuff, their circumstances, what I actually found out is that they were going to jail, and I'm using them being very broad here, but they were going to jail at very young ages. And then not only that, it's been like a repeating thing, a repeating cycle. And so the thing that was very interesting to me is that I wonder, because King Von in particular, and I will say Quando Rondo, they were involved inside of, I don't want to say, but I'm going to say it anyway, gang activity, gang life. And the very interesting thing about that is because of the simple fact of is that everything up under the sun is not new, and everything that's actually up under the sun in a melanated context comes from white supremacy. The reason why we have gangs, the reason why we have melanated people hurting each other, reason why we have melanated people acting in their lower self is because we live in a white patriarchal, capitalistic, toxic ass system that does not allow melanated men to self-actualize, melanated people to self-actualize, melanated people to have the same opportunities and being able to elevate in Maslow's hierarchy of needs. But however, we're going to get into Maslow a little bit later. So that was a very interesting thing. So being able to make a distinction of the me and the I. And just a little summary, the me meaning the expectations, your experiences, and the attitudes that you have been taught and kind of internalize or mirror. But however, the I being able to go through all of those things, but yet being able to self-actualize and pick up what you pick up and put down what you put down. And that's on period. And Mary had a little lamb. Okay. So the next thing we're going to talk about this bad boy. Baby, let me just find my page, girl. Now, habitus. What is habitus? Okay, so habitus refers to the norms, values, attitudes, and behaviors of a particular social group or social class. Baby, let me do this real quick. Make this bigger. First of all, how y'all doing in the chat? How y'all doing, girl? Girl, I gotta flip these pages. How y'all doing in the chat? Baby girl, what's your name? Let me talk to you. Okay, we're going to talk about this aspect. Okay, so we got habitus. So, of course, I'm going to start with a sense of one's place. So now we don't talk about the me and the I. Having certain expectations, experiences and stuff that may actually put you in a particular role, that may actually have you on a particular role. But however, it's the I, which is you being able to self-actualize and stuff, and being able to make your own form your own identity in a sense. But now we're going to talk about habitus, my vote. Now the key dates, we're going to start with that. 1934, the essay Body Techniques by French sociologist and girl, I always butcher this. I always butcher this particular word. Anthropologist. Blame it on my tongue, y'all. Marcel Mauss lays the foundations for Pierre. Girl, these French names. Bourdieu. Girl, re-elaboration of the concept of habitus. 1958. Max Weber suggests that a specific style of life can be expected from those who wish to belong to a circle. Now, this is where I'm actually talking about where you may actually be on a different road and having certain experiences, but yet you may actually come across trying to fit in. You may also find gangs, you may find organizations, you may find other groups of people within a society and also adopt their norms, their behavior, and also being involved what they do as well too. Girl, let me get some water. My mouth is dry. I'm doing well, girl. Girl. Girl, I guess. Actually, you know what? Let me actually look up how the hell to actually say this, because I'm not gonna lie, I always butcher this word, girl. This is irking my soul. Even when I even practice it, girl. Let me do this. I know it's it's anthropologist. Period. I got it. I don't even have to do it. But the thing with that is I gotta really, really focus on that bad boy. Girl, this is gonna be a long day. Hey, beautiful. Okay, so let me do this. Okay, so let me continue. So it says, English historian E.P. Thompson says class is a relationship that must always be embodied in real people and in a real context. Now it says 2000, and keep in mind that was 1966. 2003, U.S. cultural theorist Nancy Fraser says that a capitalistic society has two systems of subordination: the class structure and the status order, which interact. Let's get into it. We're gonna get into the fuck shit. All right, it says from Marx to Durkheim and Weber to Parsons. And keep in mind, y'all, these are German names. These are different language names, y'all. Blame it on my tongue. And plus, you already know my tongue be going all different types of tying and not. Okay. Sociologists have been keen to determine how the social class system is reproduced in the belief that it is structurally bound to economics, property ownership, and financial assets. Girl, let's get into it. But in the 1970s, I'm gonna call him Pierre B. We're gonna call him that. Pierre B. Pierre B. claimed in distinction that the issue was more complex. Social class is not determined solely by economics, he said, but by the class habitus, which is normally associated with that position. This concept was first discussed by the 13th century Italian theologian. Come on, I'm over here signing the words out. Yes, ma'am. Theologian Thomas Aquinas, who claimed that, girl, you even heard in my tone, I was nervous about that last name. Aquinas, who claimed that the things people want or like, and let me change my, because last time, baby, I done said what I said, and I was going on different pages. I even update y'all. Okay, so it says, who claim that the things people want or like and the way they act is because they think of themselves as a certain kind of person. Each of us has a particular inclination or habitus. Girl, let's get into it. But before I do that, let me actually read this particular graph up here. Okay, let's get into it. But before I do that, let me do this, because for me, I like to make sure I know these words. And for me, because keep in mind, even though I be in front of y'all and I be doing this, but however, I be learning the same way y'all be learning. This is my process. So a lot of times when I get in front of these cameras, and not really, but really, when I get in front of these cameras and y'all be like, oh my God, you know what you're talking about. This is the background work that I do. Okay, I be signing stuff out. I'll be like, I don't think that sounds right. So let me do this real quick. Let me actually put this up. Bam. Tab. Alrighty. Let me do this, baby. Because we're going to actually do this real quick. Oh, never mind. I already figured it out. Oh, period, bitch. I already figured it out. I feel so like, girl. Okay. So it says, right here, I'm starting with the left. It says at the graph, it says the habitus is a set of socially internalized dispositions that informs a person's perceptions. Keep in mind, perception is, guess what? Is an illusion. Feelings and actions. All right, the next box, it says it is created from the interaction of the individual self, group culture, and the social institutions of the family and the school. Now it says acting out these dispositions strengthens the habitus of the individual and the group. Girl, all these ads keep popping up, girl. Habitus is reproduced and evolves over time through the interplay of the individual's subconscious with the social structures they encounter. Now, the reason why I think this is very important and very, very powerful is because now we're actually getting from a sociological aspect of how people's environment can also shape their worldview, and we see this all the time. And this also goes kind of to what I was talking about the other day. I forgot which live it was, with being institutionalized. Being institutionalized, they have different methods in being able to isolate, being able to separate, being able to indoctrinate people with certain philosophies. And keep in mind, with a philosophy, what is a philosophy? So let me actually look that up. What is a philosophy? And keep in mind the reason why, even I know what it is, but I like to make sure, because people learn differently. People actually like to see these words. People actually like to, let me see. Let me go to Google, girl. Come on, Google Slides. Yes, ma'am. Philosophy. Hold on, is my thing on? Okay, so it is showing. I want to make sure. Philosophy. I'm probably finna butcher the hell out of this word. Oh no, I spelled it right, and that's on period. That's on Mary Had a Little Lamb, girl. All right, so it says philosophy, the study of a fundamental nature of knowledge, reality, and existence, especially when considered as an academic discipline. And it says a particular system of philosophical thought. So the study of the theoretical basis of a particular branch of knowledge or experience. Now, the reason why I want to bring that up, because a lot of times too, what people need to realize, philosophies does navigate the way that you behave. The reason why we may have a lot of bigoted people, or people that are not really so quick to try to give everybody rights, is because of the simple fact of they hold certain philosophies. Your thoughts are always going to navigate the way that you react, the way that you actually interact within this world. Because even though we may have different systems like races, keep in mind too, the reason why we have racists doing certain things is because they hold a philosophy that they are superior to people who have melanated skin. The reason why we have homophobes and transphobes is because they hold philosophies that we are quote unquote mentally ill, or whatever the insults that they actually throw out. Now, another thing with that, because I know what some people may actually think and say, people can hold certain views, but however, they can act differently. Yes, that is true. But however, if the car can go forward, it can go backwards. And keep in mind, things can most definitely be a two-way street. And what I mean by that is this. There are two different ways you can showcase these systems. It can be explicit or it can be subtle. And a lot of times too, we always think about the explicit ways particular systems can be showcased, as in when it comes down to being called the N word, being called the F word, being called the T word, the explicit ways of beating up on people and being explicitly bigoted towards other individuals because of certain philosophies that you have. But however, there are subtle ways and microaggressive behavior that can also be showcased, as in when you see two gay people holding hands, you roll your eyes. You don't call them no F word, but you roll your eyes, you suck your teeth. You see melanated people getting certain rights and stuff. You have this undertone, like the way that you speak, being able to follow melanated people within certain establishments, because you may hold a philosophy that melanated people are just they're thieves, they're thugs and stuff. So it's different ways to be able to showcase these things. Now, baby, let me just shut the hell up and keep reading, because Gary, I'm over here on a tangent. Let me go lubricate this throat again. Girl. All right, so where was I? Okay, so now keep in mind, y'all, this name, let me update, girl. I had to catch myself. There we go, caught myself. Now keep in mind, y'all, updating this bad boy is gonna be it's a bit much. So remember, I can't say this man's name because it's French, or it's probably Creole. One of them, I believe it's one of them. Baby, working that tongue is a bit much for me, so we're gonna call him Pierre B. Okay, Pierre B, however, develops the idea significantly. He defines habitus as an embodied set of socially acquired dispositions that led individuals to live their lives in ways that are similar to other members of the social class group. An individual from one class will know that something is pretentious or gaudy, um, whereas a person from another class will see the same thing as beautiful or stunning. Now, this is what we're going to talk about. Now, I'm pretty sure I just butchered that word, but this is when we talk about the microaggressive ways of showcasing and also not really having a privilege when it comes down to having different social classes and also having different interactions with people. So a lot of times you may not catch the microaggressive behavior because of the simple fact of you hold a privilege in one way or another, so you didn't experience it, so you can't detect it, in so many words. Let me shut the fuck up and keep reading. All right, so with that being said, okay, it says he suggests that a child learns these things from their family and then from their school and peers, who demonstrate to the growing child how to speak and act and so on. Keep in mind, y'all, this is the same thing we talk about when it comes down to the siblings. When siblings have friends in middle school, especially that middle school age. In this way, he says the social order is progressively inscribed in people's minds. Come on, social order. Now we're going to talk about class dispositions. While researching class divisions in France in the 1960s, Pierre B. noticed that the people of the same class exhibited similar cultural values, the things they knew and valued, the way they spoke, their choice of clothes and decoration of the body, and the views of art, leisure, and entertainment activities were all similar to one another. The French upper classes, he noted, enjoyed reading poetry, philosophy, and politics. They like, you know what, that is so true. Because, okay, because I don't want to just read y'all, I just don't want to read, y'all ears off. That is so true. Now, of course, there's always exceptions to the rules. But let me actually, it's very interesting because, like I said before, I used to work in marketing. I used to work in sales. And so I used to go door to door and I used to talk to people, interact with people. And so with my former job, career, aka, I had the experience of being able to visit a plethora of different neighborhoods. Comes from, quote unquote, being in the hood, where I felt comfortable, and being in middle class, and being in the upper echelon high class where they own Lamborghinis and etc. So the thing that I have noticed is that for me in particular, because I do hold I compared to other individuals that I was working with, I feel like I had to adjust differently because I was melanated, and I understand there are stigmas that certain people may think or have. And keep in mind, I'm going to people's front doors and stuff and talking to them randomly, so they're like, what the fuck? So I noticed that when it came down to me being in the quote unquote low class hood areas, urban areas, of course I act like myself and I'd be like, what's going on? Like the personality would just flow because I was able to connect with them and really talk to them. And I knew what I couldn't do. I kind of understood their sign. You get what I'm saying? But however, when I brought my motherfucking ass to that middle class and even that upper echelon, it was a bit of a struggle for me because I did not have the same upbringing. So some of the things that I would talk to them about, I couldn't relate to, and being able to mirror and being able to actually build up that rapport was harder for me in particular, because I didn't have that certain, I didn't have that same experience. So that was very interesting. And then as time went on, I started to see a ongoing theme where I knew when I go to upper echelon areas, I already know what kind of to talk about, what to bring up, because of the fact of I done been to these areas a lot of times. Y'all all typically start to talk about the same thing. And I also knew what bullet points to quote unquote talk about to be able to drive quote unquote my sale or my marketing skills home. You get what I'm saying? Because like for me, I used to sell solar. So whenever we go to urban areas, selling solar, we want to focus on saving money when it comes down to being an urban community. Saving money, saving money, saving money. You're going to save money this, going to save money that. Yes, we do talk about the other benefits, but you want to save money, save money, save money, all the benefits. You get money back, all the different types of things. Now, when we end up going to middle and high class neighborhoods, I don't like saying that, but lack of better terminology, when we end up going to upper echelon neighborhoods, the approach has to be different, because you can't talk about money, because guess what? In those particular neighborhoods, they already have money. So they don't care about spending money because they have it to spend it. So what we would have to do, we would have to talk about the other benefits. You have to be able to attack the benefits of saving the environment. You have to talk about, what's going to happen. You have to talk about the charity work that you do. It's different aspects that you have to do. And keep in mind, yeah, I said all that just so we can have a break from talking about all this bullshit. Okay, so let's get back to reading. Okay, so I did all that. Okay, so class dispositions, baby. Let me see, baby. Give me 2.5 seconds, baby. Entertainment. Okay, there we go. Found it. Okay, it says they liked going to classic and avant-grande theater museums and classical music concerts. They enjoyed going camping and mountaineering. Oh, girl, they love trying to play with their lives. Not I. Within the working classes, Pierre B. found that people liked reading novels and magazines, betting, visiting music halls and boutiques, and owning luxury cars. That is 100% true. The choices were relatively limited, and they were determined not by cost, but by taste. I was literally just talking about that. Now, this is what we talk about. Okay, here we go. Not by taste. Let me see. Girl. Oh, girl, I'm over here lubricating this throat, girl. Baby. Okay, he realized that people who were members of a certain class or class fraction or class subset shared tastes because they shared dispositions or habitus. They had somehow come to like or dislike the same things, and this awareness of shared habitus gave them a distinct sense of place. They fitted into this or that class. Now, keep in mind, the first page said what? First page said this: a sense of one's place. Like I said, we are a communal species. So you're going to flock towards, of course, people that you are close to. Of course, you're going to flock towards people that are like you, and typically people like you, or you flock towards, or you have similarities. There's going to be an interest there. Yeah, and I keep losing my spot. Okay, yeah. They had somehow come to like the same things, and this awareness of shared habitus gave them a distinct sense of place. They fit into this or that class. The construction of habitus is due neither to the individual nor the existing environment. It is created through the interplay of the subject's mind and institutions around him or next page. Individuals are born into a particular social class group, each is defined by a specific lifestyle. Referred to Pierre B, I can't say his name, as the habitus of the group. Every social group, class group, has a group habitus that simultaneously defines and differentiates it from other group habitus in society. Habitus is the group. Habitus of the group is all described in the bodily dispositions and gestures of the individual. The social class of a person can be discerned from how they walk. Okay, let's get into it. Talk, laugh, cry, and so on. Now, I'm gonna finish this part. From everything they do, think, and say, for the most part, because they are born and raised within a particular group habitus, individuals are generally unaware of the ways in which habitus both enables and restricts how they think, perceive, act, interact with the world around them. Now, baby, we get into some things. Baby, we get into some things. Now, here's the thing. Let me just say this. Reason why this is very interesting, and I really want to bring this up, because keep in mind, when we talk about these things, a lot of people, I guess, just take our word for it. But for me, oh, what about now? I'm good now? Let me see. Let me check myself. Let me check myself, girl. Oops, shoot. Am I good now? Let me see. Baby. Let me see. Let me see. Baby. Okay, I'm good. Okay, got you. Okay, so because baby, gotta make sure now. Okay, so the reason why this is very interesting, because, and I think that's really kind of what I want to talk about for this particular, because I'm not going to read all this shit. But I wanted to actually have you guys actually in the books with me, because I'm taking my word for it. But the reason I really want to talk about this is because of one thing I did notice. Of course, the conversation goes around your environment. This also goes to what I just read right here. Where was it? Okay, here we go. It goes with right here. It says, for the most part, because they are born and raised within a particular group habitus, individuals are generally unaware of the ways in which the habitus both enables and restricts how they think, perceive, act, and interact with the world around them. And the reason why that is so powerful, and that's really one of the words I really wanted, is because of the simple fact of when it comes down to melanated communities, and since we do live it, doing it again. Okay, what about now? Let me take this motherfucker down. Hey, girl, let me just take my motherfucking ass on. Let me fix it. Am I good now? What about now? Give me 2.5 seconds. Girl, you already know. What about now? I think I should be good right now. Girl, but however, it's all right. We still gonna push through. We just gonna push through it, and we gonna get this done, okay? All right, so yes, the reason I really wanted to talk about this is because since we live in a capitalistic, very much oppressive system when it comes down to melanated people, and for context purposes, melanated men, where they are not given the opportunity to be able to be in the divine feminine, be in touch with the divine feminine, which also embodies character traits and qualities, to where you have understanding, empathy, sympathy, and being able to self-actualize. Then on top of that, with having that system, and also having a communal type of trauma that has been passed down from slavery, that has been passed down from these oppressive tactics that has been manipulated within the very system that we're living through, from law, from the way that people have been conditioned to view themselves, aka anti-blackness, that this is why when it comes down to melanated men having, did he lose him? But okay, so his homie was actually he was murdered. Yeah, he was. Yeah, girl, he was shot. I feel so bad for him. But yes, that's the reason why I want to bring this up, because when you have that type of trauma going on a whole demographic of individuals, and then we are communal people, we are in quote unquote, they put us in the ghettos, they put us in the hood, they are oppressing us systematically and also oppressing us physically to where we are now acting in our low self. We're telling and also manifesting and manufacturing men, melanated men, to not be in touch with the divine feminine, which allows them to self-actualize. And also because of the simple fact of with men, they had to do a lot more action because of the times. But however, it's the toxicity that's not allowing men to be being able to self-actualize. And so a lot of times when they end up in conflict, it can never just be a conflict in where they can actually talk it out, work it out, but instead it has to involve, it has to end in someone either losing their life or it has to end in someone getting hurt. You get what I'm saying? That's the reason why. And even when we have the panels with Conscious, men will literally talk about how they want to be the protector, but then also one of the things that they do mention is that, you have to do this or you don't put yourself in danger, because they also are telling us that me being the protector and also coming to the aid of quote unquote Black women, I can lose my life, because keep in mind too, he's coming to protect you. He's coming to protect you against who? Other men. And since 9 times out of 10, melanated people are typically going to engage with melanated people, is going to be other Black men, because there is a system that is not allowing melanated men in particular, for context purposes, necessary to become whole. And then also once they don't went crazy. But I'll keep talking and y'all just let me know if y'all hear me. But to also add another layer on top of that is we also have a particular system that is holding them down physically, emotionally, spiritually, and really killing the spirit of Black men. Hey, what's going on? And then and now we're kind of to a point to where now we're actually doing it ourselves. And now it's manufacturing and manifesting itself. So we're just going to see. What's going on, y'all? So actually, let me get into the next bad boy. Now, this is something interesting. Now, keep in mind, it's better now, girl. Well, we're going to have to just run through it because, baby. Okay, girl. I want to sound like no robot. Okay, so now we're going to talk about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, baby. Okay, so it says the 5 stages in Maslow's hierarchy of needs in order from the lowest to highest level include sociological, safety, social, which is love and belongings, esteem, and self-actualization. Each need must be met from lowest, which is the psychological, to highest, which is self-actualization. Now, here's the thing. There are other phases, other stages in between and above what was actually stated right here. Now, keep in mind, y'all know I'm extra. So with me, I was like, you know what? What I'm going to do right now, I'm going to, oh, come on. Yes, come on, Ev. Come on, Ev. Yes. So what I'm going to do right now, when I was looking up actual pyramid, I was like, you know what? I like these, but they're not really doing it for me. They're not really, spicing it up like a robot again. Let me go. Hold on. Let me relocate because, girl, this is going to be a bit much. Baby. Okay, so I think this is going to be better. Okay, so yes. So yes, I was like, they're not really doing it for me. They're really not really spicing. I like myself to be really extra if I am extra. So I thought it'd be better if I did this. So this is what the actual. Baby. Let me see. Hold up. Let me get my phone real quick. I'm breaking up still. Girl, let me get this shit together. Give me 1 second. Okay, what about now? I should be good because, baby, now keep in mind, I'm outside again. So we just going to see how the hell this work, okay? Okay, y'all, I'm back. Okay, so this is what's going on. So keep in mind, y'all, I done went outside at this point because, baby, it's a lot going on. But we just gonna run through it. Okay, so with this being said, now this is actually what I'm referring to. Now keep in mind, when I was looking at this pyramid and stuff, I was like, I like everything that's going on, but they're not really spicing it up the way that I like it. Because I'm extra. So with me being extra, I need the graph to be extra because I need to catch people's attention. So with that being said, I just made my little own, and that was on period. And that's on Mary Had a Little Lamp and her paper to go. Okay. All right, so let me do this. So yes, you have the sociological, you have safety, then you have love and condition, love and belongings, then you have esteem, you have knowledge and understanding, you have aesthetic slash beauty, you have self-actualization, and right above self-actualization is actually transcendence. And baby, we finna get into some things. Now, the reason why I really wanted to talk about this particular topic is even when I was learning about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, it really stuck out to me because I was started to actually see people on panels, people actually talk about it. And one of the things that they also talked about is that in order for you to be whole, you have to be on a certain level when it comes down to being on that particular chart. Because you cannot try to transcend or think you're whole, but however, you're operating from a low level, which is that sociological. Now, let me actually pull this up, baby. Now, let me see. Give me 2.5 seconds. Yes, ma'am. Let me communicate with some of y'all. Girl. Hey, beautiful. Hey, beautiful. Hey, F. Hierarchy. Once again, here come everybody else. Let me see. Uses and criticism. Let me use this one. I'm gonna use this machine right here. Let me do this. Let me do this. Baby. Bam, right here. That's what we're gonna do. Let me add this to my screen. Up here they go. Everybody coming outside. What I tell y'all, every single time I go live, everybody want to start walking their dogs, taking everything, girl. All right, so let me do this. I'm just gonna read this one. Now, keep in mind, I'm just picking just a random one. We're gonna see what it gives. All right, so this from Medical News Today. Now it says Maslow's hierarchy of needs, uses, and criticism. Okay, so since it has criticism, I'm pretty sure it's not gonna be biased. So let me do this. Let me stop this. Stop sharing, and then I'm gonna share this one, and that's on period. Bam. Another thing too, because I'm on my laptop as well too. Girl, it is so hard to even work this bad boy like this, because baby, I wish I just had a mouse, girl. So yes, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, baby. Let me take this down, and that's on Mary Had a Little Lamb. Okay. So we're going to talk about the needs, the uses, and the criticism. Since it has criticism, I'm pretty sure it's not going to be biased, at least not as much. Okay, Maslow's hierarchy of needs is a model for understanding the motivations of human behavior. It maps different motivations onto a pyramid, which each level representing a different human need. These include psychological needs, safety, love and belongings, esteem, and self-actualization. Now, since it named every single stage except for transcendence, after I get done reading this particular article, I'm gonna look at transcendence and see what it gives. Okay. Now, the psychologist Abraham Maslow created this model. He believed that people could not focus on the needs higher up the pyramid until they had mostly obtained the needs in the lower levels. Maslow also felt that fulfillment in life results from being able to meet the needs in all five levels. Now, baby, baby, y'all in this damn. I most definitely gonna need a different mouse because baby. Okay, so it says keep reading to learn about Maslow's hierarchy and needs. Okay, application. Okay, girl, we already know about that. Okay, girl. Oh, perfect. It came right up here. What is Maslow's hierarchy of needs? Now, Maslow's hierarchy, as you can see right here, girl, this fucking word, sociological needs is such as food, water, sex, shelter, all the basic things that you need for survival. Safety is security and stability, love and belonging, relationships, feeling accepted, family oriented, your group, your tribe. That's what we're talking about when it comes to love and belongings. Now, esteem. The esteem is more on the inside, as in being able to have self confidence, respect. I will say I'm gonna go for a reach here because I'm kind of trying to compensate and trying to do a little bit more free thought instead of actually going all based off the article. I'm gonna actually try to put in ethics and morals for self-esteem needs, but that may actually be, corrected within the article. Now, of course, we have self-actualization, which is reaching one's potential, and then we have transcendence above that. Keep in mind, y'all. Now, it says Maslow's hierarchy of needs is a psychological theory about what drives human behavior and what makes humans feel fulfilled. It represents 5 key human needs that people must meet in order to achieve well-being. There are, of course, the 5 needs right there, y'all. So it says Maslow mapped these needs onto a pyramid diagram, which with each needing occupying a different level of the pyramid. The lowest and the biggest levels represent the basic and highest priority needs that are essential for survival. Like I told you guys, the smaller and the higher sections represent self-esteem and self-actualization, which are essential for fulfillment and emotional well-being. The pyramid diagram shows how Maslow believed that human needs are hierarchical, meaning some take priority over others. According to this theory, people cannot achieve the needs higher up the pyramid until they have taken the ones below. Of course, and that's another thing. Of course, you want to make sure your foundation is set, because guess what? You know what? This is so interesting because this is all low key falling into, and I didn't mean for this to happen. This is all falling into even what I said about the pastor. Remember, guys, when I was talking about Pastor Carlton, I was talking about pastors being able to, I personally believe that pastors should be fully employed from the church, as in they should get paid from the church. That should be their full-time job, because I was talking about and kind of hinting towards this idea without actually knowing it subconsciously. Come on, Divine, lining everything up. So what I meant by this is that how can a pastor being able to fully focus on the needs of the church, or being able to fully focus on the needs of people, but however he's worrying about if his rent is due, if he's worrying about his health, if he's worrying about the basic things that you're gonna need for survival, those things are gonna obviously be a distraction to where his full energy or hers full energy is not gonna be where they need to be, which is the purpose, one's true purpose, which is the self-actualization, transcendence, is going to be distractors. Come on, everything falling in place. Yes, ma'am. All right, so according to this theory, people cannot achieve the needs higher up on the pyramid until they have taken care of the ones below. Maslow argued that this is the only after meeting all 5 needs that humans can truly thrive. Maslow published the hierarchy of needs in 1943. Researchers today consider it one of the most impactful ideas in personality science and motivation psychology. Come on, psychology. Let's get to it. Maslow's 5 needs, starting from the bottom of the pyramid. The 5 needs are as follows. Physiological needs. These include physical needs that humans need must meet to in order to survive, such as food, water, sex, warmth, shelter, and sleep. Now we have the safety. These and keep in mind too, this is the reason why all of this ties together, because every single aspect of what I took from these particular articles from the book is the reason why Quando Rondo is in the situation that he's in, because what's being alleged is that the person that was trying to take out Quando Rondo was actually, from what I'm hearing, allegedly trying to get revenge for King Von. Allegedly. I don't have proof on that, but that's what's being alleged from different tweets and all the different types of other things. Now, the reason why I want to talk about the different aspects is because all of these things play a part, because now we have people growing up in gang culture. Now we have people growing up in different aspects of the of society, coming up with different philosophies that's going to navigate their behavior, that's going to navigate the way they react, the way that they perceive things. Then we also have a habitus. Come on, I'm over here trying to add that stuff to my vocabulary. Have a habitus, or certain dispositions from society, which also reinforces the way that they perceive things, the way that they act, and also conditions them to not be in touch with their emotions. So every single time you have conflict, it ends up in an uproar, because the only thing that you do know is either I'm going to be calm or I'm going to cause all types of hell. And that's the reason why. And that's on period. All right, so safety needs. These include things that make humans feel safe. Order, predictability, and having a sense of control may contribute to this. Safety can come from the actions of an individual, or from their family or community, depending on the person it might include. And this is where it comes talking about living or working in a safe environment, having a stable or sufficient source of income, feeling protected from crime or abuse, being in good physical health with no serious illness. Many people in the United States live in physically or emotionally unsafe environments. Feeling unsafe in childhood can affect mental health into adulthood. And like I said, when it comes down to the socialization and programming of, girl, this Wi-Fi be going in and out. But when it comes down to the socialization and the programming of melanated men within America, aka the Western Hemisphere, this is the reason why we keep seeing issues and problems and situations like King Von and Rondo and stuff. So that's actually deep, girl. So love and belonging needs. Love and belonging needs include the feeling of being connected to others, belonging to a group, and having secure relationships. People meet these needs through making friends, giving and receiving affection, intimacy, feeling accepted by loved ones. And here's the thing: even though I am referring to and talking about this particular pyramid, and let me just do this bad boy real quick. So even though I'm talking about this particular pyramid, let's also keep in mind too is that with a particular system that this particular society runs off of, it can also create a very toxic version of this pyramid, which means that all, including the me and the I, if they're not having a good experience or having good a good support system to help guide them from birth, and then not only that, having a particular society that reinforces and pushes them onto a particular road or a particular way of life, it can produce and manifest, which is something that we're actually seeing manifest, a negative version of this particular pyramid that we see here right today. Okay. All right. So let me just do this bad boy real quick, girl. Hopefully I'm not chopping up, y'all. Hope I'm not chopping up. All right. So let me bring it down. Yes. Okay. So I'm bringing it down. Now, esteem needs. Esteem is admiration and respect. Maslow divided this part of the pyramid into two subcategories: the esteem a person has for themselves, or self-esteem, and the respect they desire from others. Self-esteem involves a healthy, positive regard for oneself. The things a person needs to have good self-esteem include self-worth, which is when a person feels they have value, Oh, girl, I'm over here. Competency, which involves feeling skilled or knowledgeable. Dignity, which is feeling worthy of respect. Independence, which in this context means a person feels they can do things for themselves. And this is another reason why self-respect, self-love is very important. Now we have esteems. Esteem from others may involve gaining respect from peers, acknowledgement for one's achievements, status or prestige, fame or reputation. However, Maslow noted that the healthiest form of esteem that comes from others needs to be earned. Celebrity and fleeting recognition cannot fulfill a person's esteem needs long term. Let's get into it. Now, baby, we have self actualization. Now, here's the thing. This is actually something I ended up going through. Of course, you already know I'm gonna be going up and down, but let me actually talk about my actual personal experience. Of course, I'm gonna make it swift, but this is actually the journey that I had to get to. I had to get to a point to where, in order for me to elevate, I have to be able to be in a good situation when it comes down to my my sociological aspect stage of things. Got to make sure I got somewhere to lay my head. I got to make sure somewhere I'm eating, I'm warm, I'm sexually fluid, all those different types of things. And in order for me to be able to elevate, I had to make sure all the other aspects were in place. And so when I actually got to a place of self love, when I tell you, me actually getting to that particular place, I elevated so much in my life because I was in a different headspace. I was able to operate different. I was able to look at things different, perceive things differently. And don't get me wrong, it was a struggle, but this is really a good representation of what I was talking about when it comes down to self love. Now, self actualization. The highest need on Maslow's pyramid is self actualization. Now, keep in mind, y'all, transcendence is actually above this, which includes a person knowing themselves, understanding their full potential, and reaching it. This is different from the esteem needs of the previous section. According to Maslow, people who become self-actualized find motivation in growth and possibility rather than trying to gain something they lack. They see things that they or their community could achieve and they pursue them whether or not it results in an external reward. Other characteristics that Maslow felt self actualized people possessed include a realistic perception of reality, acceptance of imperfections, flexibility, and spontaneity in pursuing goals. Girl, my tongue is over here going through it. Autonomy and responsibility, consistent and strong morals, appreciation for life, and creativity. Girl, I'm telling you, my tongue ain't never worked this hard in its life. That's a lie. Okay, it says being self actualized does not mean a person has no problems and is always happy. Maslow describes self actualization as an ongoing process rather than the end point of a journey. Now it says applications for Maslow's hierarchy of needs. People have applied Maslow's hierarchy of needs to many fields of study, industries, and societal issues. Below are some examples. Education. Education experts sometimes use the hierarchy of needs to help children reach their learning potential. Okay, so I'm gonna skip that part from the middle. Children in the situation experience unique challenges and they feel unsafe due to the challenges happening around them. The authors explain how caregivers can meet their physical safety, social esteem, and personal growth needs even in a difficult situation. Healthcare. People in the ICUs tend to be oversedated and immobilized. The author contended that although these measures are necessary for a minority of patients, they are not essential for the majority. In fact, they may have a negative effect on mental health and cognitive function. To prevent this, the author proposed changing ICU care so that so girl, we already did all that, girl. So we got healthcare. What was it? Okay, so here we go. Now, this is interesting. What happens if a person cannot meet those needs? Baby, let's get into it. So we have the need, sociological, and now it says effect if unmet. You can have a physical illness or hoarding a behavior. baby. Safety. Now, if your safety is not secure, you're gonna have anxiety. You're gonna have a psychological trauma, girl. We all know it. Love and belonging. If you do not have that love and belonging, if that bad boy is not secure, you're gonna have loneliness and antisocial behavior. Esteem. If your esteem is not secure, now the esteem has a lot of them on here, but if your esteem is not secure, you're gonna be having a feeling of loneliness, a worthlessness, feeling invisible or unappreciated, low self confidence, and depression. Self actualization. If that bad boy is not up to par, you're gonna have boredom. Actually, let me see what this means. A lack of meaning in life. Let me see what this means. This is my first time actually seeing this word. Let me see what it means. Let's see what you give, baby. Let's see what this bad boy means. Let's see what this bad boy means. What does this bad boy say?
Cynicism.
Cynicism. Okay, this is my first time hearing this. Cynicism. Cynicism. Let me share my screen too. Maybe I can see this. Stop sharing. Let me actually share my screen, girl. Baby. Cynicism. That's the first time I heard of that. Okay, so we have cynicism, an inclination to believe that people are motivated purely by self-interest, aka skepticism. Okay, so cynicism. Okay, there we go. Come on, cynicism. Yes, ma'am. All right, so let me do this. Let me go back to sharing this bad boy here. Come on. So now, baby, when I tell you, I'm not gonna lie, y'all. When I started doing this, actually doing this on screen with y'all, I really started to add these particular words to my vocabulary, like inculcated, baby. When I first came across that word, baby, it was so hard for me to say. My tongue was all over the place. But however, I started to slowly but surely add it to my vocabulary. Okay. So let me see. So Maslow's theory suggests that people needs at one level have to be mostly but not completely met before they can move on to the next level. He believed that unmet needs occupy the mind, preventing the pursuit of needs higher in the pyramid. I do agree, or at least to some points, to some degree, I do agree. Thus, according to the theory, if a person is endeavoring to address their basic sociological, girl, this psycho and sociological always get me, sociological and safety needs, they will not be able to seek higher needs for love, esteem, and self-actualization. Now, the reason why I wanted to make sure I really got that bad boy and really want to talk about that is because this is where, and I'm just gonna have to say it, this is typically where melanated people are operating in. These are the levels that melanated people are operating in, only because simple fact of we live in a oppressive system. And since we live in this particular oppressive system that does not allow melanated people as a whole, and of course there are exceptions to the rules, there are some melanated people that have elevated, but however, since as a whole melanated people have not gotten a chance to elevate and have a healthy life within this particular society, we are operating in our lower self, and a lot of times we don't get the opportunity to self-actualize and elevate spiritually, elevate physically, and elevate emotionally, and actually be emotional present when it comes down to melanated men. And so a lot of times when you have situations like a King Von and Rondo, it ends up being explosive because we don't have the actual skill set to be able to handle those particular situations because of our environment, aka habitus, because of our upbringing, that could be the me and the I, and because of we're operating in our lower self because of this particular systems. Now let's actually take a look at the criticisms of this particular hierarchy. Let's learn some more, y'all. So criticism of Maslow's hierarchy. The order of needs, once again, every single time I go live, everybody want to, oh my God, that was a black cat. Come on, black cat. The order of needs within the hierarchy is arbitrary. A 2015 study notes that the one criticism of Maslow's theory involves the order of needs within the hierarchy. Some critics say that while it's logical to put sociological needs first and self-actualization last, people do not necessarily pursue or obtain the needs in this order. Okay, I kind of agree with that. For example, some argue that a healthy relationship with oneself is an important requirement for having a healthy relationship with others. Maslow himself met people who valued self esteem more than love. However, Maslow did not consider the exact order of needs to be rigid. And I can agree. I can most definitely agree because sometimes this also goes to what people say, where the mind goes, and I kind of say this too, where the mind goes the body's going to follow. And so you have to sometimes have that self-love in order for you to have that drive, have that motivation to get yourself to a certain point. Case in point, say if a dude he's doesn't have a job, but however he's not motivated, he doesn't feel quote unquote like a man. He feels down. But however, if you have that self love, if you have that self esteem, and you get yourself to at that particular point, it's quite possible for somebody to end up having that motivation to get to that next level, to have that stability when it comes down to your job, your finances, your workplace, your place to stay and shit. Let me continue reading. Self actualization is not linear. In his early work, Maslow argued that a person could not only self actualize once they have met their basic needs. However, an older 2015 paper notes that sometimes not being able to meet one's basic needs helps people identify their self actualization goals. Okay, here we go. We get interesting. For example, a person may have a stable career for many years, fulfilling their safety needs. However, if they lose their job, they may realize that their old career is not satisfying. Yes, satisfying. Needing another source of income might spur them to pursuing the job they truly want. Maslow had also acknowledged that unmet needs could be motivation for self-actualization in his later work. Come on, we get into some things. Now, the self-actualization teaching is not generalizable. Oh, let's get into it. Another criticism of the concept of self actualization is that Maslow largely based his ideas on the biographies of notable, I got all these ads coming up, of notable historical figures, most of whom were educated white men. Come on, white men. As such, the traits he observed in these successful individuals may not apply to all people. And that's true, because girl, once again, depending upon your habitus, girl, I'm trying to add this to my vocabulary. Hopefully, I'm not butchering that word. When it comes down to your habitus, baby, you're gonna operate differently compared to the colonizers. No shade. Now, how long is this, girl? Okay, it's just right here. So, the summary: Maslow's hierarchy of needs is a theory about what motivates and fulfills humans. The theory includes 5 needs, which of whom forms one section of a pyramid. At the foundation of the pyramid are sociological and safety needs. In the middle, there are social needs such as love and belonging. At the top are esteem and self-actualization. People are applied. People have applied the hierarchy in a range of ways, including in education, child development, and healthcare. Psychologists can use it to understand things that may be contributing to mental health conditions too. However, there are some misconceptions and criticism about Maslow's theory. It is important to remember that the progression of one stage of the pyramid to the next is not necessarily linear. Girl, bitch, I could have just read that last one and got my whole entire life. My whole entire life. My whole entire life. But let me just give my final thoughts. Then I'm going to drop the link, y'all. Let me stop sharing this. Okay. So after actually going through the book and talking about the you and me, the I and me, actually talking about the habitus and also talking about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, I'm going to reiterate and I'm going to drop the link. It's a very sad situation that Quando Rondo had to lose his friend at the expense of allegedly a revenge for a beef that happened between him and King Von. That's what's being alleged through tweets and stuff. But however, I'm just using this situation as a catalyst because of the way that society and the way that we socialize melanated men to operate. When I say we, society, but however, we as well, because we also reinforce and come up with the societal rules and behavior. So when it comes down to melanated men being in touch with the divine feminine, being able to process, first feel their emotions, process their emotions, and then effectively communicate their emotions. But however, the same thing that I always talk about too, we could always talk about communication, but however, we also need to talk about comprehension. Because one thing that I always like to say is that if I'm speaking to you and if I speak English, but you understand Spanish, we're not going to get anywhere. So another part of allowing them to communicate their emotions, also giving them a safe space to also for us to understand and give them grace to be able to communicate those emotions to us. So this also goes to another reason why when we enter certain groups, enter certain spaces, certain conversations, tone policing is not necessary, because once again, in order for those emotions, in order for us to be able to have certain conversations, tone policing is a way to deflect, and tone policing is a way for people to really not have the real conversations. Bye. Now, with all of that being said, I believe that this all stems from a society that's very oppressive, and also a very people that also internalizes a society that oppresses us, and so now we oppress each other. This is the reason why we have situations where we have black men murdering each other. We have situations where we have melanated men joining groups, gangs, which, from what I understand, gangs are just the manifestation of white supremacy, because the gangs were the ones protecting us. Um, Now we have situations where traumas from white supremacy onto melanated communities, which bleeds out into the households, to where now we have the I and the me. Then not only that being reinforced, because all of those traumas are within a lot of households, which ends up turning into different communities, which also creates a habitus. Come on, baby, I'm gonna be determined to add this to my vocabulary, which creates a habitus, which reinforces the oppressive nature. But however, with that, we are operating in our lower selves and not vibrating higher and operating on a higher frequency. So instead of us actually self-actualizing and actually taking into account what's actually going on in society that's manifesting and producing individuals to operate the way that they are, instead, since you haven't reached that higher self or being able to operate higher, we tend to take it out on each other. And this is the end result of one end up taking one's life, someone goes back for revenge, and allegedly, and we end up in situations like this. So yeah, that's basically what I want to talk about. Now I will drop the link. I don't know if people are gonna come up. Actually, Ev, I would love for you to come up. I'm pretty sure you just might, but if not, I understand. I would love for you to come up, actually talk about Maslow. Girl, let me paste this bad boy. Bam. It's going, and I dropped the link. So I'm gonna drop, let me take some of this stuff off, girl. Baby. Baby. Also, too, in the meantime, let me do this. Because I also forgot to look at transcendence. Let me look up transcendence. Let me go back. Maslow's hierarchy, transcendence. Baby, let me do this. Baby. Transcendence. According to Maslow, self-transcendence brings the individual what he termed peak experiences, in which they transcend their own personal concerns and see from a higher perspective. These experiences often bring strong positive emotions like joy, peace, and a well-developed sense of awareness. Now let me see, can I find a picture that actually talks about transcendence and the character traits and stuff? Let's see. Girl, let's see. Let me go down. Baby. Oh, okay, let me see this one. I think the other one says it too. Okay, so over here we have caring for others, intrinsic and happiness. Okay, so this is actually interesting. This is actually very interesting. Now, it's very interesting that it says caring for others and love. Now, the reason why that's interesting to me is because of the fact of this is where we're starting to get into the conversation of love. Now, um, people have different definitions of love. Honestly, people have different interpretations of love. People have different love language in the way they express love. But I remember me and Conscious, we were watching a particular YouTuber. I've mentioned her a lot of times on this particular platform, High Powered Podcast. And the conversation was dealing with love, and the conversation was talking about how a lot of people love only on terms. People don't have the unconditional love. People don't have that, the, I guess, this particular facade that we actually try to put out when it comes down to what we say love is, but however we don't demonstrate those those ideas of love. Now, what the conversation was actually talking about is talking about gender roles and how love is only transactional. The way that we view it, it has become very mutated. So Conscious decided to actually call in, and when he called in, based just about the basis of the conversation was talking about you have to have love within yourself, and you have to really reach higher levels and really elevate and get to a place of self-actualization and the self-esteem so you can have love within yourself. But however, a key point of what he said, which really caught my eye when I read this particular chart, is that he said that you're going to have so much love to the point that it overflows. And the thing about it overflowing is that when it overflows, you can most definitely and naturally give that exact same love out. Now, reason why that is also very important is because this also goes back to my rift, my issue that I had with Kevin Samuels. Now y'all gonna be like, bitch, why the hell are you bringing Kevin Samuels into this? What the hell he got to do with this? But this is what I mean. The rift that I had when it came to Kevin Samuels in particular, at least his rhetoric, is that people were believing that women were believing that they had to do certain things to be attractive to a man. All these artificial, superficial things that really doesn't hold any place of any substance. But however, believing these things in these gender roles, thinking that it's very much showcasing love. And the issue with that is that I remember on his particular platform, Conscious platform, I remember I said the issue that I have with that is that if you're going to do something, I want you to do it for yourself, not for nobody else. And the issue that comes into effect is that when you end up being transactional and doing something for somebody else, guess what? When that person leaves out of your life, what's going to happen? The first thing you're going to say, I did this for you. I did that for you. I did this. I did that. But however, when that person leaves and you come with the philosophy and the idea of I did this for myself, not for nobody else, guess what happens? When they leave, you're content in your decision, in every single decision that you made. You're content with knowing that, yes, I may have done this and this may have been the terms and conditions, but however, I made a conscious decision to do it for myself because I felt like this was necessary in order for me to elevate and really go to the next level. No shade. So yes, in order for me to get to the next level. And one of the things that I have been peeking through the manosphere and I want to say the woman's sphere or the femisphere. I don't know the exact terminology, but me actually going through those spheres or whatever, what I noticed, hey, what's going on, Ev? What I noticed was that This is the dilemma that melanated men and women are going through. The dilemma, in my personal opinion, the dilemma is understanding love is not transactional. The first step of love is loving yourself. Because when you love yourself, you're going to be whole. When you're whole, you are equipped to love somebody in a healthy way. You are equipped and you flush yourself of some toxic philosophies that do not serve you or the other person. Understanding that we are spiritual beings, if you believe that or not, depending upon someone believe in God or not, but understanding that with our complexity of our existence, that we're not just dumbing our existence down to just gender roles. That understanding that everything that I do with my complexity, my purpose, I'm doing everything for myself, not to be selfish, but however to acquire self-love. So when I end up in situations with other individuals, I'm whole, I'm healthy, I'm sane, and I also have an effective way of being in touch with my masculine and feminine energy to be able to operate in healthy ways to situations and obstacles and articulate myself effectively. And also with that, easily show love unconditionally, because guess what? I'm in place and I am whole. And I think a lot of times too, um, things the reason why we have these issues of the gender wars is because we have a lot of wounded people on both sides. Of course, one side started the other, but on both sides, they're coming from a wounded space of those particular energies. Like we have this idea of women being masculine and women being feminine and men being masculine, and okay, that's cool or whatever. But however, we have this idea of women only being masculine and neglecting the uh men being masculine and only neglecting the feminine, and women being feminine and neglecting the masculine. But to add another layer to that is that they're operating from the wounded versions of those energies, which becomes the toxicity that we speak of. What's going on, Ev? I done talked everybody ear off, girl.
No, you good. Hey, Reckless, how are you?
I'm doing good. I'm getting a little better when it comes to this reading stuff. These words be wearing me out. But however, this how my vocabulary broaden up. So
Yeah,
props.
it's cool. It's cool.
So what are your
No,
thoughts?
I enjoyed it. I kind of came in at the latter part. And it's funny. I came in with Maslow's law. Maslow's law. You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah,
can
it's
never get
it's
this
it's, it's
name
tongue
right.
tied.
Yeah,
Yeah, go.
Maslow's laws or hierarchy of needs. So, yeah, I'm familiar with that. More so used it when I was taking like some business lessons, business classes, and stuff like that. Because it applies to it can apply to your business too, of like which kind of needs you want to cater to when it comes to your customers. But nonetheless, everything you pretty much said and read tonight, I definitely agree with. Um, and I just wanted to touch on a little bit what you just said as far as us being whole, making sure we're whole, so that way we can learn how to love our significant others better or correctly and stuff. And I'm not
Mm-hmm.
sure if you heard of Abraham Hicks.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, Abraham Hicks. I They are whatever. I don't even know what they are, but
Yeah.
whatever. I know what they are, but you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Esther Hicks, their teachings, it has helped me out so much. But one of the things that they taught and what I've learned and that has enlightened me was the fact that just kind of taking the responsibility or the power that we have, especially
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to putting our happiness in other people, and just what you just said, like making sure you're whole, because ultimately it's nobody's responsibility to make you happy but you. And when you just kind of learn that, I mean, especially when it comes to relationships, when you just learn that just your happiness is really dependent on you, like you ultimately control that, it's so liberating. So yeah, I just wanted to say that when you said that, I was like, oh yeah, he hit home run with that for sure.
That's on period. Girl,
Yeah.
I'll be over here learning. And this is, I'm gonna be
Yeah.
honest with you, like I feel really good. I guess bringing the books out and really bring it to the forefront because all of this stuff I kind of do in the background. So when I do present it to y'all, I'll be sounding like real smart and stuff because I already done Google how to pronunciate this bullshit. I already done did all this, but however, I really like the process of doing it in front because some people like. Okay, so my goal is this because a lot of times when I see a lot of debates, when I see a lot of people interact, when I see a lot of people have conversations, number one thing they do, they like to
Mhm.
come from, oh, what's your experience? Okay, we talk
Yeah.
about the experiences. Then all of a sudden, you know what? I don't want to talk about experience. Let's come from a logical aspect. You bring up the
Mhm.
logical aspect. Then like, okay, let's talk about a scientific aspect. Okay, we bring up the scientific aspect. And this, but for me, I want to bring up different ways because I understand people learn differently, and I also
Mhm.
understand that people. I want to make it I want to talk. I want to break situations down to a point to where you can't even deny it because I done talked about every single aspect.
Yeah.
It's like okay, at this point you have to get something from what I'm talking about. So
Yeah.
that's the
No.
goal.
Yeah. No. Definitely. But you on point with everything that you pretty much said tonight and how you broke it
Mm,
down. I really enjoyed it, and like
mm,
I said, definitely. I well, the spiritual aspect of it. That's more my lane. I love how
mhm,
like flexible y'all, y'all are just in general,
mhm,
and that for the most people part, people that come up on the panels and everything, very
mhm.
intellectual. I enjoyed the more so spiritual perspective of it. So
Yes.
it's enjoyable to hear both sides. So,
Hmm. I have a question. Okay, so well, before I do that, let me read this comment. So it says governing one's own happiness is also a boundary that is always overlooked. Mm. Okay, okay, so
definitely.
okay, okay. Yes, come on. That's,
Especially in relationships, man.
yes, I was just about to ask you that. Now even though we do understand this video was initially about Quando Rondo, but
Mhm.
however, I feel like this is very necessary because once again, like people like literally, we always want to start at the end result. We always want to start at now we seeing melanated people literally take each other's lives. But
Mhm.
however, we're not starting at the root. This is the root. We have people that have been traumatized. You have people that are continuously traumatized. And keep in mind, if they're traumatized as a people, this stuff bleeds into the household. If this stuff bleeds
Exactly.
into the household, it bleeds into the communities. When it bleeds into the communities, you have a group of people operating at its low self and also looking
Mhm.
at a sense of belonging, and then not only that, when they do have belonging and they're operating from a unwhole place, which means that I'm just going to be only masculine or I'm going to be only feminine. And not only
Mhm.
that, when I operate from those energies alone, it's going to be the toxic, wounded version of that. This is the
Mhm.
reason why we see the things that we see.
Yep.
This is the reason why. Like this is the reason why when melanated men in particular, just for context and conversation purposes, because there's always exception to the rules, when melanated men go to actually speak out their issues, it's always either explosive
Mhm.
or it's either on 100 or it's either zero. And this is the reason why, well, like I said earlier, this is what patriarchal men, this is what they talk about when they talk, like when Jay Lethal in particular or Knockout, when they say things like girl, I just put him on blast, when they say things like, me checking a man can result to me losing my life.
Mhm.
When they talk about me actually going out and actually saying something to a dude, I can be locked up in jail and smacked around and all these other things because we're operating at our in our lower selves. And
Mhm.
that's the reason why, because of the system.
Definitely.
Okay, so I have a question for you. Okay, so when did you know? Okay, so you said that. Okay, so you have gone through this particular process, like from,
Yeah.
of course, operating at your lower self and then vibrating higher. Correct? I'm gonna make sure I correct you correctly.
Yes.
Okay, so what did it take for you? Because also within that article, it also said that you don't always have to find each stage in a particular order. So what was the process for you to get from one particular stage to the next?
Um, shoot. I mean, to be honest, when I think
Mhm,
about Maslow's laws overall,
mhm.
it took for me. I needed to separate myself from people.
Come on,
Um,
alienation. You know
people,
that's also a thing
yeah.
too.
It was forced alienation though, because
Hmm.
with my grape situation,
Hmm.
had a lot of people who I was friends with for over 10 years. Like everybody turned their back on me.
Hmm.
So but while before that happened, I deep down inside, like God, Holy Spirit, whatever, kept telling me that I needed to separate myself from those people. I knew it, but I didn't want to accept it. You know what I'm saying? Like I was really battling with God about it for months. My pastor told me. I had one of my friends tell me that, and then I just kept feeling it in my in my gut, in my soul. So, but nonetheless, when the alienation happened, and I mean, it was just me and my therapist and God for a long time, for at least 2 years. But that's when I started to just kind of deep dive in my spiritual journey and ended up just crossing paths with a lot of people and ultimately, leading to Maslow's laws and just kind of learning those teachings, learning things about that. And then that's just kind of how I just started becoming like a better person overall. Definitely therapy,
Mm,
you know.
yes. Okay, so I do want to talk about the alienation sociology.
Mhm.
What is alienation sociology? Alienation in the social scientists, the state of feeling estranged or separated from one's. Now, keep in mind, I looked this word up. This means environment, atmosphere. Now, how to pronunciate that, baby? My tongue, blame it on my tongue, not my heart. Now, it says work, products of work, or self. Now, the thing that was very interesting. They said sorry, but that's the thing. The thing I found very interesting because even on my journey and stuff, I separated myself and
Mhm.
alienation. From what I understand, it's very, at least in my case, I'm not gonna speak for all. In my case, it was very beneficial because of I had certain philosophies and I was being fed certain things mentally, and so it was fucking with me emotionally and spiritually, and so of course physically it followed right behind. And so in
Mhm.
order for me to go on my own journey, I had to alienate myself, which means I had to
Mhm.
separate from my environment, separate from family. Now work, it was still fine, baby, but I had to separate from certain individuals so I can be able to get my mind in a particular headspace to realign itself. So that was
Mhm.
very interesting. That was very, very much interesting. I wanted to make sure I shared that. And
Yeah. And thank you for the empathy, sympathy. I'm not sure who said that, but
mhm,
as kind of crazy as it may sound, um, my my grape situation, it
mhm,
was not necessarily. I'm not gonna say like it was the best thing that happened to me, but it needed to happen. And I
mhm,
thank God for that, because that was the only way, and God showed me that was the only way that He can get me away from those people. Because it was like
mhm,
telling you, I keep showing you, and it was things that I knew, and I'm just like, nah, God, I'm really having a conversation with him, like, God, nah, this person is cool, not this person, no, this person is cool. God, like, no, you need to separate, come out from amongst them, like for real.
yep.
And that's what it kind of takes. And if you can find the beauty in your trials and tribulations and stuff, or things that seem so devastating to you or to us just in general, if you can find the beauty in that, it always is like it can be.
Mhm,
I can be like, I'm glad, not glad it happened, but I'm glad it happened. You know what I'm saying?
mhm. Yes. It's
Yeah.
like you're not glad because in that particular moment you had to find your own path. You had to go through that particular experience, but yet, okay, so this is perfect. It talks about the me and you. The me, I keep saying me and you, the I and me. where you have certain expectations, certain attitudes, certain things that have been fed and experiences, but yet the I is just about talking about where even though you go through your life, you pick up what you pick up, but you put down what you put down. So this is where the idea we actually come into your own, come into yourself, and you step into your own individuality. Now, this is another part of it. Depending upon where your mindset may be, because of your habits. Come on, I'm over here adding these words to my vocabulary. Come on, reading.
Come
Because
on,
of
come
your
on.
habits, you can inculcate. I'm trying to add these words. Incalculate. I'm gonna work on it. Inculcate. Fuck it. Instill.
Uh-huh.
Either a positive, either a positive mindset or a negative mindset, because
Mm-hmm.
your experiences can either help you, and like you said, like something that happened to you that was very personal and very invading, instead of allowing that, instead of you allowing that situation to actually take over you and take over your life, and then you operate and continue to operate from a lower self, which is understandable because that's not something that's easy to get over, but instead you decided to elevate, and with the
Mm-hmm.
elevation you were able to transcend and be able to have a spiritual awakening, all the different types of things. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
Yeah.
girl.
Yeah,
Very.
nah, that's good. If you I don't know how deep you got. Do you okay? What are your thoughts on Abraham Hicks?
Now keep in mind, oh girl, oh, I only gotta have surface level when it comes down to her.
Okay,
Yeah, on
no,
the
I
surface level when it comes down to Abraham Hicks, because Conscious actually introduced Abraham Hicks to me. What I would say, this is before I even came on the platform. It was a long time ago. Long time ago. Like as in like I was a viewer, but we were talking, but I just wasn't on his platform like that. So
okay.
I only have surface level, but I'm glad that you brought the name back up, because now I need to go back to watching her and seeing what she gives.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you just changed my whole life.
Yeah,
Changed
yeah,
my
because
whole life. I actually had an experience with them. It was so crazy when I first started listening to them, and I was like, "This lady, who and what is this lady?" And Reckless. I mean, it was. I get. I was really open to the point, like spiritually. I was so intrigued by it, and I was thinking about it, and I was listening to the videos to the
mm-hmm.
point it woke me up out my sleep, and I heard this a scripture in the Bible that um I never read. I'm not gonna say I never read it before, but I definitely don't recall it. Psalm 105. But nonetheless, like it freaked me out a lot. But I was like, what in the
Actually, let's
world?
look that up.
Yeah.
Look it up.
It woke me up out of my sleep. And it's so funny because just the night before, I had a dream about my father. My father passed 2 years ago. Um,
I'm sorry to hear that.
so yes, thank you. And it's okay because with her, I look at death totally different. I mean, she explains that there is no such thing as death, but
Mm-hmm.
that's a whole other conversation. But
Yeah.
nonetheless, in the dream, right? Because we are eternal beings. But I seen my father, and he was fine, and he just shared a message with me that I heard so clear. And then I woke up, and I heard Psalm 105, and I got down to like the fifth verse, and it was a chapter about the blessings of Abraham.
Okay, it
And it's
says, "Oh, give thanks unto the Lord, call upon his name, make known his deeds among the people. Sing unto him, sing psalms unto him, talk ye of all his wondrous works. Glory ye in his holy name. Let the heart of them rejoice that seek the Lord. Seek the Lord and his strength. Seek his face evermore." Now here's the fifth verse. "Remember his marvelous works that he hath done, his wonders and the judgments of his mouth."
it was the sixth verse.
It was a six. "O ye seed of Abraham, his servant, ye children of Jacob, his chosen."
Reckless. I do not, and I'm a Bible thumping Christian girl, whatever you want to call me. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
that scripture. I ain't, you know what I mean. I ain't never. took to Psalm 105. That woke me up out of my sleep. But that was my experience with it. I mean, it really freaked me out, but at the same time, I was like, okay, God.
Well, was two things I want you to pay attention to. Two things is that, of course, is going to be Psalms because of hoodoo practices. Psalms are literally spells. So, which is the same thing that I read to my mom before she had her last days. I literally read Psalms. I did that on purpose. Keep in mind, I'm not a Bible. I'm not deep in the Bible like that, but I understood and I had respect for her religious beliefs. So I thought so for me, my best way of communicating with her was reading the Bible to her. And so that's what I did. And so for me, it was, of course, knowing hoodoo. I'm like, okay, I could meet her halfway because this is both of our lanes. She's Christian. I'm into African spirituality. So with that being said, I'll read Psalms to you. And not only that, it's funny that you actually mentioned and said how you never really heard that particular verse, but however, I need you to understand it found you. You didn't find it, it found you. And it found you at the most appropriate time. And that's the reason why everything is divine and you must operate from a higher consciousness, because when you do so, everything else is going to follow. And what you put your energy in, that's what's going to come back to you.
Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you. I don't know. I can't lie. I don't want to say his or her name wrong. But thank you. But no, it's beautiful though, and reckless. Like even though I know you had your experiences with your religious beliefs, whatever. It's just a beautiful thing because I don't get so upset with people when they have a different perspective of the Bible or have different religious beliefs and stuff, because ultimately I feel like we know that God is infinite. Like I don't feel like there's no right or wrong ultimately of how to experience him, because you can't really explain him. You can really only experience him, and he's just it's all about what your experience is with him. But I think what gets us twisted is when we just try to, and what I've been taught in the church, what's right and what's wrong. You know what I mean? Like right, wrong, right, wrong, right, wrong. And it's like, nah, you just learn how to just open your mind up just a little bit and ask God to guide you. You will be fine. But God cannot be explained. I mean, ultimately, you can try your best, but it can really be experienced.
It's Liz.
Oh, it's Liz. Oh, hey. Oh,
sorry. What's going on, Liz? Liz going off in the comments. But I'm gonna say this too, because you actually ran into exactly what I was gonna say. What I was gonna say is that the issue that for me, I have no problem with the Bible. People have their biblical texts. People all different types of doctrine. The issue is, and keep in mind, I'm not even just gonna talk about that. I'm just gonna talk about doctrines. The issue with religious doctrines is that they're doing it and they're trying to beat people over. It's the use of the doctrines. It's the weaponization of the doctrines. It's like I said earlier, even in the life, it's funny how everything is literally coming full circle. The more that I talk, like I said earlier in the live, I don't know if it was here, is that we have this mutated version of love. And so since we have this mutated version of love, which is always transactional, instead of us having a actual self-love to the point to where when we come to a situation, we come whole, we operate in a mutated way that, of course, if you align yourself and have this philosophy of a mutated version of love, you're going to operate, and keep in mind, philosophy operates and navigates behavior. You're going to operate and navigate the way that you think. And so since you have this mutated version of what love is, which is always about the other person instead of yourself, then guess what? You're going to operate as such. And that's what people do when it comes down to the doctrine. It's not about having the doctrine, believing the doctrine. It's the weaponization of it, because of the simple fact of we say that we love each other, which is the right and wrong. But however, the love is doing it but however, doing it in the energy. I'm gonna say that it's the energy
Mhm.
behind it, selfless. Hmm.
Mhm.
But
Yeah,
go
that conditional love, you know, like as long as you do me right, you treat me right, you put me first, then you
ahead.
love me. Or that's the right way of love, but ultimately that's not what love is, you know.
Hmm.
And we as humans, like you said, and it's just to piggyback off what you said, we twist it, we make it conditional, we put our own interpretation of it when ultimately it really is just simple, but we just make it so complex.
Well, what? Well, yes, and
Well,
plus
I
on
mean,
top of that,
mhm,
well, I was gonna say yes, but plus on top of that, keep in mind, just because we come from a Western Hemisphere in particular, I can't
mhm,
speak for anyone else, but I think other places too. But in the Western Hemisphere, we have this thing where we are religious and we believe in a high binary, which with it being binary is always going to be transactional. You do this, I do that. If there's a left, there's a
mhm,
right. There's a up, there's a down. If there's a
mhm,
east, there's a west. So with that, it's going to be transactional. But however, yet we claim to be religious and spiritual, but however, we lack the spiritual aspects when it comes down to philosophy, which is the reason why I personally believe that's the reason why when it comes down to the church and the exposed, and when it comes down to people actually leaving the church in particular
mhm,
and going on their own spiritual journeys, but yet allowing that pendulum to swing back to the general area, the middle area, to where now we can have churches, people are going to start going back to church, but however, they're also going to implement the more spiritual lessons and principles
mhm,
into the sanctuaries. So that's what I believe is going to
mhm,
happen.
mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to get off your chest?
No, I'm good. This was really, really good. Thank you for having
Okay.
me on. And thank
Have
you,
fun
Liz.
too.
Liz, I'm gonna look up. I think she said Alan Watts.
Yes, I'm gonna put it back on the screen for you. Yeah, Alan Watts.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and Abraham Hicks. You know,
Mm-hmm.
when you get a chance, Reckless when you get a chance, and I'm gonna look up Alan Watts. Yeah, this is fun. Fun, fun,
Mm-hmm.
fun.
Yes.
Now
That's
you
what I'm
did
saying.
good, Reckless. So I appreciate everything as
Thank you,
usual.
thank you, thank you so much. Because the way my tongue be tying up in a knot, baby. Because because I be trying to be, because I know when I speak and stuff, I have like this little twang, like because even when I listen to myself back and I hear like other people speak, and I be like, dang, I can clean that up. So I be trying to do it, girl. I be over here, girl. It's a process, but however, everything gonna work out for us good, for the good. So,
Well, you're
baby.
doing good. Keep practicing, keep doing your lives and everything, and I'll definitely catch and support when I definitely can.
And that's perfect. That's perfect. That's good. And I know you always be in them lives. I'll be looking for Ev to come through, baby. This
Oh
just I'll be like, where
my
Ev, where Ty, where KO, where Liz, where everybody at?
God. my foot
Where
is
beautiful.
my foot is broke right now, so I'm
Mhm.
trolling like a mug. I'll be on everybody's channel.
I know that's right. But don't get well. I'm about to go live again because we got to talk about this Dwayne Wade and stuff. So I'm
Okay,
about to
yeah, I
end this live. Then we go get straight to Dwayne Wade because baby, that's probably gonna be a little ignorant. All that
definitely.
just
All
so
right,
you know.
all
All
right.
righty. Take care. Alrighty, y'all. So that is it for this particular live. So I want to say thank you guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for everybody who has supported. Thank you for everybody that actually tuned in. And if you're catching the replay, please make sure you guys thumb up this video. Thank you guys so very much. If you can't do anything else, you can just thumb it up and let me know what you know in the comments. I be honest with you, I don't even care if you let me know that I'm a dirty ass bitch. However, with that being said, that is it for my video for today, guys. Please make sure you guys pop that like button, hit the subscribe button, and please, please, please smack the notification bell so do not miss any of my posts from me. And with that being said, I will see you guys later.